In this video, we will look at the distributive property of multiplication. So consider this visual. You have a rectangle that has a side of 6 and the other side is 17. Can we find the area of this rectangle by actually splitting it into two different rectangles like this? So we have the same rectangle split into two different rectangles. So this rectangle, I'm going to call it A, and I'll call this B. And the area of this rectangle is 6 times 10. And the area of this rectangle is 6 times 7. Now the area of this rectangle A plus the area of this rectangle B is the same as our original rectangle here, because it's really the same rectangle split into two different rectangles. So let me write that down. The area of this rectangle is 6 times 17, and the area of these two rectangles put together is 6 times 10 plus 6 times 7. Now I can rewrite this 6 times 17 as 6 times 10 plus 7, because 17 is 10 plus 7, and keep this the same as 6 times 10 plus 6 times 7. This is called the distributive property of multiplication over addition, which means when you have 6 times parentheses 10 plus 7, you can do 6 times 10 plus 6 times 7. We can actually generalize this by saying if we have A times B plus C, we can rewrite this as A times B plus A times C. And we can see here from these two rectangles why this works, because the area of this is the same as the area of these two rectangles put together. An important aspect of this property is now we can extend this property to more numbers. Let's see what that means. So I had A times B plus C equals A times B plus A times C. But what if I now have A times B plus C plus D? I can use the same property and say A times B plus C plus D equals A times B plus A times C plus A times D. And we can show it in a visual like this. So we have the same rectangle here, but it's now split into three parts. And this, the area of this rectangle is 6 times 10. The area of this rectangle is 6 times 3. And the area of this rectangle here is 6 times 4. Another important aspect of the distributive property of multiplication is shown here. This shows 6 times 10 plus 7, and this shows 10 plus 7 times 6. And since the area of the two rectangles is the same, it means 6 times 10 plus 7 is the same as 10 plus 7 times 6, which makes sense because we have essentially used the commutative property of multiplication. And the way we can generalize this is A times B plus C is the same as B plus C in parentheses times A. Let's solve a problem using the distributive property of multiplication. So if we have 6 times 38, we can rewrite this as 6 times 30 plus 8, because 30 plus 8 is the same as 38. And now we can apply the distributive property of multiplication to rewrite this as 6 times 30 plus 6 times 8. So now 6 times 30 equals 180, and 6 times 8 equals 48. And so the sum is 228. So 6 times 38 equals 228. This form of using the distributive property is called expanding, where we are given a times b plus c in parentheses, and we expand this to say a times b plus a times c.